Hello my loves and welcome to a new whateverathon vlog. This is the last vlog for whateverathon because I only have 2 books left until I completed the readathon and completed the bingo boards. And these 2 books that I'm reading, I really hope are going to end this readathon with a bang, because well, one of them I've only just heard about and I've just started reading it last night and I'm absolutely loving. The other one is a thriller. I like the author, so I'm hoping I'm going to enjoy this book. I know this book has particular mixed reviews, but I'm kind of hoping I'm going to like it, but we'll see. So the 2 books that I'm going to be reading are The Hades Trials by Eliza Reid and Rose Wilson. That's going to be on my Kindle, and physically I am going to be reading Surviving Light by Riley Sager. Now, I will talk about the books in a second. So the prompts that I have left on my bingo board is as follow. This is what it's looking like at the moment. So I've got on the cover, last letter, first letter, last letter, and then 2021 release. So originally I did do a colour poll a while back when I was sorting out my TBR, purple one, and that was going to be Catherine House. However, I've very much wanted to try and incorporate 3 prompts with 1 book just to make it a little bit easier on me, purely because I'm reading quite slow. I'm getting really distracted lately with having a puppy and just life, and so the amount of books I wanted to read, it's sort of become it's become quite like, you're not going to be reading us, so what is the point? So I've sort of decided, right, I'm making myself easier, and the books I'm reading fit them in as long as there's like 3 prompts. You can't go anything more. So the first book I'm reading is The Hades Trials. I actually saw this on Bookstagram on like a reel, and I think I saw it on TikTok as well, but I didn't really know much about the book apart from the fact that it was a Hades Persephone fantasy romance story. So I had a look, saw it was on Kindle Unlimited. I was like, oh, right, perfect, let's get it. What I didn't know was the book that I actually got was The Hades Trials, and this is the complete collection. So it's actually a trilogy, and what I actually got on Kindle Unlimited is 3 books in 1. However, looking at the books on their own, they are very short. The first book was only 200 pages. I think the second book was about 260 something. Third, I think again 260 something, because they're really short books. And I could tell you now, they are reading so fast. Like it doesn't matter. This is just over a 600 page book. Like, I am breezing through it. I've already read the first book in a trilogy. I'm currently on chapter 14 of the second book. So the books in the actual trilogy, I'll talk about what they're called. So it's The Power of Hades, which is book 1, The Passion of Hades, which is book 2, which is what I'm on now, and then the last one is The Promise of Hades. And basically this book fits for the cover on a colour. So I did blue, black, green and yellow. Blue was Under the Whispering Door because I kind of was like, oh, I could read that and it would also class as 2021 release. It also gave me LGBTQI plus prompts as well. However, it doesn't win. Black was The Hades Trials. Green was The Tea Dragon Society. I thought I could use that. It's a little graphic novel. It would also fit well with like the bonus points for diversity, so I was like, oh, we'll do that. And then yellow was The Chase by L. Kennedy, which is like a standalone book, and that would also fit the first letter, last letter, because I just finished reading Gallant. So Gallant finishes with a T, so I need to read something that begins with a T. But black won, and it was The Hades Trials, and to be honest, I'm quite glad, as much as I didn't realise that it was a whole book collection in the book. But I don't mind, because like I said, I am reading this very fast. Like, literally I finished book 1 last night within a couple of hours. So basically we are following Persephone and Hades, but we are in a sort of an urban fantasy world. So we are in modern day New York. Persephone Persephone's basically human. So she's not a goddess of spring. She hasn't got any powers and all that. So she's human in New York. She's got like a part-time job at this little independent cafe. and she is a student at a university, and she's studying like botanical gardens and stuff, and she's hoping to impress like a professor to get a spot on this sort of like garden place, and hopefully that will like open up a job and sort of things like that. So she basically, the start of the first book is we meet Persephone. She's working at the independent bookstore, and this like really good looking guy comes up, and he sort of not takes the mick, but he sort of gives her a nickname of Percy. She's not overly keen on it, and like he's well, no, actually, I think it's her nickname. I think she likes a nickname. I think she just doesn't like how. Yeah, sorry, I got that wrong. She likes a nickname. It's basically how this bloke said it. Like, he was saying, oh, but that's a boy's name and all that. Like, he was antagonising her. Like, he was gorgeous, but he was acting like a prick. And then he was sort of finding out when she was free, and she was just like, I'm not, I'm busy. And then, like, he ends up going off in a huff. So she finally finishes her shift at around 2ish, and she goes and heads back to the dorm in the university, when all of a sudden a massive big like storm sort of happens, and like lightning attacks and all that. And then this boy comes back and basically is like, I don't like being let down, blah blah blah. And it turns out that this is Zeus, and basically he forces her from like trying to like basically like with the lightning bolts, he forced her into this like really dark cave. She goes in. She then starts thinking that something's happened, that she's had an accident, and she's like in a coma, and she's sort of in like a dreamlike state. So she just goes and rolls with it, thinking it's fine. I'm going to be revived. My brother's going to be there. He's going to wake me up. Blah blah blah, like that. She gets into this cave. She knocks on the door, and she meets Hecate, and basically she finds out that Zeus has brought her to the underworld because he wants her to participate in the Hades trials. So the Hades trials is these numerous different trials, and the winner basically wins the hand of marriage to Hades and becomes queen of the underworld. However, there is a twist, because Persephone actually was already married to Hades. Something happened. She's now his ex-wife. And yeah. So basically it turns out that Persephone is human, but she wasn't. Something happened in her past to the point that she had to drink this specific water to forget her memory. She loses her powers, and she gets sent to the human world. And up until being put into these Hades trials, she rolls with it. But then when she first meets Hades, she's drawn to him as like her like sort of body sort of recognizes thing, and she's like, okay, maybe like something's going on. And so she takes part on these trials. She doesn't want to win. She wants to just sort of lose and then get sent back to New York. But she also wants to actually understand her past, because she's starting to notice things that she recognizes. People recognize her, and she's starting to believe that maybe she, something went on. She wants to know what happens. So it basically ends in the first book. She goes through, I think, 2 or 3 trials, and she sort of gets a little bit of help of Hades. He goes in her mind and sort of gives her tips to help out, and basically he's helping her in a sense that he doesn't want her to die, but he doesn't want her to win. At the end of book 1, when she goes to sleep, she goes in this beautiful Atlas garden, and this person's talking to her. She doesn't know who it is. All she knows is a person, and she was like, why are you helping me? And she goes, this is, I'm your only friend. I know what happened, but I can't tell you. You're the only person who can make things right, and all that. And he basically tells her, because she asks for seeds when she's won her trial, she asks for seeds, and they give her pomegranate seeds. She doesn't understand what they're meant to do, because she wants seeds to grow stuff in the underworld. But the person in this garden thing that he talks to her in her dreams says, you need to eat the pomegranate seeds. Something happens in the end of book 1 where she nearly dies, so she takes them just to see, what these do, and part of her power comes back, and she realizes she's the goddess of spring. So book 2, she's completing in more trials. She's currently actually winning. So Nymph was the winner, like the current winner. If no one like bypasses her, then she would be the queen of the underworld, but Persephone has now overtaken her, and she's currently the winner so far. So she obviously has noticed she has got powers. She's now realised she's a goddess of spring. She also has realised that her and Hades are soulmates. Like, she's so drawn to him and all that, but they're both, like, she wants to go back to New York. Whatever has happened in the past, he doesn't want. I think something happened, and I think Hades protected Persephone in the only way he could, which was lose her powers, make her go into the human world. So obviously Persephone's still doing these trials, but at the same time she's now wanting to understand who she is. She wants to understand her powers. She wants to understand what's in her past. So that's going on. This is at the moment like a slow burn romance. Like, I wouldn't say enemies to lovers per se. Like, at the start, Persephone and Hades weren't really keen on one another, but it was more because he lost his temper and made her see death, and she completely freaked out. But like, he apologized. He was more pissed off with Zeus for doing what he did. But yeah, I'm thoroughly enjoying this book. It's very hard to put down, and as much as it's over 600 pages, it's one that I'm going to fly through. So I am loving this book, and I just really want to continue reading it, which I will do. And then Survive the Night by Riley Sager is for 2021 release. I have heard mixed reviews on this book. However, I'm kind of going into it knowing that this isn't going to be his like creepy thrillers that he does. I'm sort of going into this thinking it's more thriller based. But basically, we follow Charlie, who hitches a ride with this ride share scheme that happens in her university, and her driver is Josh Baxter. And so they are in the car. This book spans for 24 hours, and it's just set in this car, and basically Charlie's going to wherever she wants to go. However, they're talking about like everything bar the little crime that is going on at the university, which is there have been 3 student murders at her university, and then this serial killer is dubbed the campus killer. As she's in this car with Josh, she starts to actually notice some dodgy things with Josh, and she soon starts thinking that maybe he is the campus killer and she is his next victim. And so basically this book is like a cat and mouse, and it says here, in order to win, Charlie must do only one thing: survive the night. I have seen with reviews and some people doing vlogs on BookTube about this book that Charlie is a character who has mental health problems, and she is someone who sort of makes up things, like, and so she doesn't know what's real and what's not. So a lot of people say like there are moments in this book where you're not sure whether it's actually happening or if this is stuff that she's made up. A lot of people don't like that. I actually quite like that take, because it makes me curious to know you know, whether this is all in her head, she's just made it up, or whether this is actually happening. So I quite like that idea. So that's going to be my next book once I finish the Hades trials. And yeah, hopefully these are going to be 2 amazing books to end whateverathon with a bang. So I do need to do some errands. I need to get some Father's Day stuff, so I'm going to pop into town and do that. I'm good. My mum's in the garden, she saw me. So I'm going to go and do that. I'm going to grab some lunch and then I'll come back. I do need to do my volunteer stuff. My reader's friend that I chat to, she's been really poorly lately. She's been in hospital, but she's finally feeling well enough to chat, so I need to do that. So I'm probably not going to pick up my book until this evening, but Alice is at her dad's this weekend, so I do not have like mum duties now. So yeah, that's the plan. I will catch up with you later on. I probably will actually catch up when I finish the Hades trials, purely because I don't want to read stop because I'm thoroughly enjoying this, and it's one of those books I think you just need to read straight through rather than stopping and starting. So I probably will update you when I finish the book and give you what's gone on and my final thoughts, and then do daily updates with Survive the Night. So yeah, I will catch up with you probably later on this evening. And yeah, I hope you enjoy this vlog. I'm very excited to read these 2 books. It's an absolute scorcher of a day today. I think this weekend's meant to be really nice, so I'm hoping to try and read outside, depending on the puppy. But yeah, so I will catch up with you later on this evening, and I hope you enjoy this vlog. My loves, it is absolutely pouring down right this particular moment. We have just got in time because it's chucking it down, and I can't work out whether it's hailstones. It might be a bit of both, to be fair. Anyway, coming on, as I've got some reading updates for you. I finished the Hades Trials last night. It was just before 1 in the morning. I finished it. It was a 3-book series, so it was 600 and something pages. I can't remember now. 643, I think it was, something like that. And I read it all, and I loved it. I gave it 5 stars. This book is just... it's just an easy read. It's a Hades and Persephone retelling. We have a romance. It's just one of those books where you don't have to think. I will admit, the actual get together between Hades and Persephone took quite a while. It was the last third of book 2, and they finally got it on more than just kissing. So it was quite a build up of that. It wasn't steamy. No, that's wrong. It was steamy. It wasn't smutty. So there were sex scenes, but it wasn't as hardcore descriptions as you get with some smutty books. There was a couple of twists I did not expect, so that was really good. Admittedly, it ended just quite abruptly. It just ended them on their wedding day, and that was it. I was just like, oh, I could have had a bit more, because we literally had a boom 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 disaster, all of this, and then the following chapter was they were getting ready to get married, and that was it. So it's sort of one of those ones that oh, I could have done with a little bit more, but I don't care. It's one of those books, to be honest, I kind of call them trash books in a sense, not because they're trash, but purely because they're books that it's just easy. There's not much descriptions, there's not much world building, there's not much you've got character building, but there's just not much fantasy side of things that makes you think, makes you need to work out the world and stuff like that. It's just one of those books that's just done really quickly, and that's it. That kind of jam. 5 stars though. I had a blast. I started it the early hours of Thursday. What day are we on? Yeah, I started it early hours of Thursday. Well, it was Friday morning really. But yeah, I think I read it from 12 to half 12. I don't know, I can't remember. I read a little bit I started it on Thursday, read most of it on yesterday, and finished it the early hours of this morning, because I didn't go to bed till 1 o'clock. But I loved it, and if you're in one of those ones where you just want to read a easy fantasy and you love Hades and Persephone retellings, go for this. It's really good. There is actually another 3-book series, and it's the Enquiries, I never know how to say it, Trials, which is a similar pretext kind of thing, rather than it's more not to find a wife, it's more something else, and I think that's between Eris and Aphrodite. So I'm quite interested to just read that, but I won't lie, in any sort of retellings there's always Hades and Persephone for me, just because they're the gods that I understand, really. So I'm now on to Survive the Night by Riley Sager. I haven't read much. I'm on page 26. I just started it earlier. I've been at my grandparents' most of the day. but what I have read, I'm enjoying so far. I understand what people have been saying about Charlie as our main character. She's got some, I'm guessing, mental health problem or something. She has to take like these pills, but basically she sort of like, she calls it her movie scenario. So she dreams up, like she imagines these things and sort of lives in this scenario she imagines rather than like real life. So I kind of understand why people say that Charlie's character is not someone you can sort of trust in a way, because you don't know whether the things that's happening is just her like making things up in her mind or whether it's happening. So I kind of can understand why people are saying her narrative is one of those ones where you're like, is this actually happening or not, because we can't trust the main character. So I understand that. So I'm quite appealed to that, because I kind of like the fact of, I'm going to be guessing, is she just imagining this stuff up or is this actually happening? So I quite like that. All I do know is that Charlie is going back to her hometown in, I can't remember, is it Youngstown? She's going back to her hometown in Youngstown. She's literally just fled from sort of university. I think, is it classed as university or was it college? I don't know. Whatever. But basically, her dorm roommate Maddie was murdered. She is one of the victims of this campus killer. So she's obviously struggling with that, struggling with a lot of grief and stuff, and I think she's just completely given up. So she's now going back to her hometown, leaving everyone behind. Now I must admit, I'm a little bit like, why are you doing a car share with someone you do not know when there is a campus killer around? Like, it's just a little bit like, come on, how stupid can you get? Especially the fact that her boyfriend Robbie said that if she could wait until the weekend, he would take her. And I'm like, why do you need to go right this second? Like, just, you know, wait, he can take you. It would be a nice like goodbye for them. But no, she's going hitching a ride with this random bloke. Already he's giving me bad vibes, the fact that he won't let her see, like, like, you could say it was like being polite. But he took all of her belongings and shoved it in the boot, but in a way where it, instead of putting it all in the boot, it was like in a corner, like there was something in the boot. He angled it so she couldn't see it. The car's got this really like clean smell, like it's been like really cleaned, and but like not in a sense that it's been in the car wash. It's sort of like it's been cleaned because it's hiding something kind of thing. So we've got that. And also Josh is quite, he's got like this air to him where he doesn't feel comfortable in his skin. Like Charlie said, like, this is a person who's wearing, like, he's wearing these clothes, but it's clothes that's not usually something he would go for. So he sort of is sort of like, he looks really uncomfortable with his style. So already I'm having like red flags. Already she's sort of in some ways having red flags, but she's like, you know, I don't know this person, blah, blah, blah. And I'm there thinking, really? But then saying that, in some sense, you have to put trust in these like rideshare schemes. Like, you know, we've got Uber, we have taxis, you know, in hindsight, these are strangers that we're getting a car with, but we're having to put trust in that they're not like murderers, because, you know, so each their own. But yeah, so I've only started reading this, but already I'm enjoying it. It's one of those books that I want to keep reading. I want to know what's going on. But like in regards to like Charlie's character, I'm intrigued because she is one of those ones where you can't trust her, and I'm quite like, it's gonna, to me, I think this book's gonna be one of those ones where I'm gonna be left guessing, wondering whether it's all her imagination and she's just done this all in her head, or whether this actually happens and he is actually the killer. It'd be nice. Like, I'm hoping there's going to be some twists and turns. Like, I do hope that like it's not going to be obvious. Like I don't want it to be obvious and it be Josh kind of thing. Like I kind of feel like I love it if it was actually not him. Like maybe it was someone else, or it could even be the campus kid. It could be Charlie herself. That would be a good twist. If that I'd laugh if I turned around and said like I got it on page 26. Like I would like it in the sense that it's not going to be the obvious person, but then in a sense it could be the obvious person, but it could be sort of why and all that. I don't know, but yeah, I'm enjoying it, so that's what I'm going to continue reading. I'm not doing anything now. It is 20 to 5, so I've spent most of the day at my grandparents just to celebrate Father's Day, because we won't be doing it tomorrow because Alice will be back home, and obviously I'll be spending Father's Day with my dad. So we just spent Father's Day with them. I had a Pimm's. Forgot how much I love Pimm's, but I'm not gonna lie, I haven't had anything I haven't had anything to eat today, like at all. I didn't even have breakfast or snacks or anything like that. So I had Pimm's on an empty stomach and I'm kind of feeling it. I'm not gonna lie. But anyway, yeah, I am gonna continue now for the rest of the evening to read this, and yeah, I'm hoping to try and finish it. Maybe like I would like to read quite a bit of this book to the point that I can finish it tomorrow night or something. I tend to read thrillers very quickly, so depending on how much I enjoy this book, it depends on whether I can do this in one sitting. But yeah, that's my update, and I will catch up with you. I'll probably come back and give you a halfway point, and then I'll come back once I finish this book and tell you what I thought of it. But for now, I'm going to get reading, so I'll catch up with you all later. It's been a while since I've updated you. I've been busy in a sense of I've been watching season 1 of Stranger Things because I wanted to see the craze. I did actually start watching Stranger Things when it first came out. I think I watched like the first 4 episodes of season 1. But it got a bit confusing. My mum wasn't overly bothered. My dad had already watched it. So I was like, oh, I'll watch it on my own. Never did. But the only reason why I'm actually trying it again is purely because one of my favourite actors, who's also a singer, is in season 4, and I want to watch it because he's in it. So I was just like, I can't exactly go and just start watching season 4 because I won't understand what's going on. So I was like, I will start watching like the first seasons. Like they're not very long in episodes. Obviously they're like about an hour long, but to be fair, when you binge watch things, it's quite quick. But I love Jamie Campbell-Bower. I love him, and I've watched him in a lot of movies. I love him in the movies. I love him as a singer. So I was like, I need to watch this TV series now because he's in it. So I've been watching Stranger Things. I think I've got the last 2 episodes of season 1, and now I'm on season 2. I do know a few things, like I know who Jamie Campbell-Bower is, and I know that little twist. I also know from obviously seeing the trailer for season 4 that I know that Will is alive. He's not dead at the moment. He's obviously missing in season 1, so I know wherever it happens, but I know he's alive and they find him in the end. So I sort of know some bits, but obviously I don't know the how and why and all of that. I'm enjoying it. Do I understand what's going on? Not completely, but I am hooked and I can see the craze, and I pretty much am obsessed. I just want to keep watching it. So I've been watching that more than reading. I also didn't do much reading on Sunday, yesterday, purely because it was Father's Day. I went out for brunch. You would have seen a B-roll of that. And then obviously Alice came home, so then we were spending time with dad for Alice, and yeah. But I managed to finish Survive the Night today. To be fair, I was like on page 50, so I'm gonna really say that I read this whole book today, because I was like on page 50 for like a good few days. I'm not gonna lie, I saw how this was going in regards to who the campus killer was. I got that very, very early. I sort of was like, right, it's too obvious to be the person in the car. I think it's this person. It just makes sense, and I was right. So that was a disappointment. However, I didn't expect the twist about Josh. I didn't expect the twist about this other person at all. Like those two moments, I was like, oh my god, I did not see that coming. I also do like the fact that for a while I wasn't 100% sure whether Charlie was like doing her little imagination movie things or whether it was real life. So there were moments where I was like, is this happening or not? And then there was moments where Charlie believed it wasn't real because the person said it wasn't, and then it actually turned out that they were lying, that she was, and so like she wasn't trusting herself. I like that, but it just... it got a little bit disappointing and it got a little bit far-fetched. Alright, here's spoilers. If you haven't read this, or you are reading this, or you just don't want to be spoiled about this book, do not read any, do not watch any more of this bit. I will put a timestamp so you know where it is I am doing like a spoiler. So this is your warning. If you are planning to read it, or if you're currently reading it, don't watch this. If you don't care, then carry on watching this. So here goes. Basically, the boyfriend Robbie is the campus killer. I got that very quickly, and I was just like, right, that's fine. And when we find out the reason behind Robbie, I could understand that too. It was the far-fetched bit in the middle bit. Like, basically, Josh wasn't Josh. He was called Jake. Oh, I've forgotten his name now. Jake something. It turns out that he is a bounty hunter, and that he had been given a job by this person to basically get Charlie, and she wanted to meet her and get some answers. So this person ends up being grandma of Charlie's best friend, who was the last murder victim from the campus killer. And basically, Charlie was the last person who saw Maddie. Charlie told her to fuck off. Basically, they had an argument, blah blah blah, and Charlie saw someone with Maddie, but she wasn't sure whether it's real because this person had a fedora on. He had very like old-fashioned clothes, so she thought she was in her little dreamscape because it's like a coping mechanism. It's when life's too hard, she goes outside of her life and does something else. So she sort of was not believing it. She walked home, and then when she found out Maddie was dead, she was like, I think I possibly saw the killer, I don't know. So basically, Maddie's grandmother hired this bounty hunter to get him to get Charlie to her so she could have a chat with her to find out what went on. What he didn't know was that the grandmother was going to use forceful techniques to get Charlie to remember. And so we had that. Now, I kind of can understand in the sense that you want to find out the truth. You want to get justice for your, the family who's been murdered. I understand that. But this woman was literally happy to do torture to a best friend who she knew hadn't killed her granddaughter, yet she was quite happily kill this person. So I was a bit like, this is just a bit warped, this is a bit stupid, like, come on, like, yes, get answers, but why are you physically you're gonna kill this person, even though they didn't kill your granddaughter and you know they didn't kill her? So I was a bit like, okay, this is just a bit thing. And then obviously Robbie comes because basically Charlie called him when they were at this diner. She gave him this code word. They had this code word, and one of it means she's fine, the other one means she's not, and so he went and found her because the police said that they were going to go and check in, but he knew they weren't, so he went to find her and obviously saw all of this, so he went and so he ended up following Josh, who's called Jake, and so basically Jake didn't realise that the grandmother was actually going to kill Charlie if she didn't get any answers, so he managed to kind of save Charlie. And Charlie saw Robbie and then they drove off, and basically by bloody fluke, so they were driving off and I think she was like going to take him to the hospital. So she was driving fast. She hasn't drove for like ages, but basically he was in the passenger seat, and like the little cabinet, whatever it's called, I forgot what it's called, like the drawer thing, it came undone, and like this like jewelry box was there, and she thought it was an engagement ring, but when she opened it up it looked like dice, and then she clicked that it's teeth. Now the campus killer, one of the things that he does is he takes a tooth out, like a molar out, and he keeps it. So then she knew it was Robbie and all that, so she ends up killing Robbie and takes the tooth. The grandmother of Maddie manages to stay alive. Charlie doesn't tell the truth to the police and lies, and just like, whatever. And then she obviously says like, we're even, because she gave, and so the ending of this book, Chloe, like I just wish it ended like with the hospital bit, her going to see Josh/Jake and ending it like that. But no, it was like the epilogue of that Charlie obviously, I don't know, finished film study or whatever, but she made a movie of what went on, but changing certain aspects that to make it a bit more horror-y, more like, and then and like Josh/Jake is like a chauffeur and they're married. I was kind of like, I didn't need that. That was just stupid and unnecessary. We didn't need that. So I get why people didn't love this book, because for me, it just got a bit stupid. I'm going to give it 3.5 stars purely because of the fact that Charlie is a character that you genuinely did not know what was real and what wasn't. I like that. Also, the twists to do with with the Jake, Josh and Maddie's grandmother, I did not see any of that coming. So for that, I'm going to give it a 3.5 stars. But not one of his best works. I understand why people don't love this book so much. And the fact that I knew it was Robbie, I just didn't understand the reason why. And even when you find out the reason why, I was just like, good grief. Like, I know killers can do things for the most stupidest reasons and like really like unjustifiable reasons as well. And his was one of them. And I was just like, just because they felt like they were better than you, like there's nothing wrong with being confident. And I was just like, okay. So it's official. I have finished the last 2 books for whateverathon. I have completed the bingo board. It's done, and I'm glad. I'm like, because I've got a few days spared, because I literally have about 4 books I need to read. So 2 definitely need to read. No, it's more than 4. No, I've got 4. 4 I definitely need to read. 2 are actually arcs. The other 2 are for vlog series I do, and then I've actually got 2 lots of book clubs to read. I'm not going to be able to read them all, but I'm the important ones I definitely need to make sure I do. So at least I've got some. I've got the rest of this week and a bit of next week. So hopefully, I need to knuckle down now. I need to stop getting distracted. But yes, thank you for watching this last whateverathon vlog. I hope you enjoyed this vlog, and I will see you all again soon. Bye.